Alright guys, it's time for my Borderlands 4 review. And I played this on the PC, unfortunately. And this game took me on a crazy roller coaster of emotions during my 30 hours of playing time. But I'll get into that in a minute. So let's talk a little bit about this game. Borderlands 4 is a mayhem-fueled looter shooter jam-packed with billions of weapons, deadly enemies, and intense co-op action. Break free from a dangerous hidden planet as one of 4 new badass vault hunters. Pandora's moon Elpis, after being teleported away by Lilith using her siren powers, destroyed the protective barrier of a planet named Kairos. In Borderlands 4, players assume the role of a vault hunter who must lead the resistance against a ruthless dictator named the Timekeeper and his army of synthetic followers while searching for secret alien treasures. Yeah, so that's a little synopsis of the game there. And this is actually the 5th installment into the mainline Borderlands series. The order of games is as follows: Borderlands, Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, Borderlands 3, and now Borderlands 4. And Borderlands 4 was developed by Gearbox Software and published by 2K Games. Gearbox Software has a bit of an up and down history of making games over the last 25 years. Because, I mean, they're responsible for the entire Brothers in Arms series, which I loved back in the day, and the Borderlands series, obviously, which, from a gameplay standpoint, are pretty solid games. But they're also responsible for some big-time duds, like Duke Nukem Forever from 2011 and Aliens Colonial Marines from 2013. These games were pretty terrible. And let's not forget the freak show that is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So yeah, this studio has always been pretty much hit or miss. And of course, this game was made using the Unreal Engine 5, so we all know what to expect going in. We should expect good-looking graphics, very little interactivity with the environment, bodies that can't be shot or just disappear, and very bad optimization. And yeah, that about sums up the game right there. And the story in this game just didn't do it for me. But this might also have a bit to do with the fact that I never played any of the Borderlands games past the first one. But I just didn't care about anything going on here. The characters were lame and the dialogue was just atrocious for everyone involved. I didn't like any of my 4 choices of playable characters, so I just went with the least annoying one, which for me was Rafa. So you can choose between Rafa, the Exo Soldier, Vex, the Siren, Ammon, the Forge Knight, and Harlow, the Gravatar. And each of these characters have their own unique abilities and skill trees that fit to your playstyle. For instance, Rafa's special ability is having auto turrets on his back that you can use to help in the fight. These abilities obviously have cooldowns, but definitely come in handy, especially when playing solo. But the dialogue in this game can be very cringe at times. I'd say most of the time. Going into this game, I expected it to be a lot more woke than it was. And maybe it gets worse later in the game, but I could only make it 30 hours into this one before I had to call it quits. I couldn't do it anymore. It got boring and repetitive quick as hell. So it does seem like they toned back on the wokeness, but it still can't save this game from itself. Because the writing in this game comes across like if the writing team from Deathloop and Saints Row merged together. It's just bad, and the more a character talks, the more I hate them. It's as simple as that. Not a good formula when trying to get me to care about the story. And you know what? I gave them 30 hours to make me care about anything, and by then I couldn't take one more minute in that world. I was already burnt out and over it. So let's talk about some of the good aspects of the gameplay. The gunplay and movements feel buttery smooth. You can sprint, crouch slide, dash, double jump, grapple hook, and glide, so you can do it all in this game. It has that old school FPS feel where you can just zip around the arenas blasting everything that moves. I mean, there were times during battles where this game had hardcore Doom vibes. Zipping around with your shotgun, ripping and tearing. The ripping and the tearing. And you can also get around the world on your hover bike as well, akin to the speeder bike from Destiny 2, so that was a nice touch. And you also don't take any fall damage in this game unless you walk off an actual cliff boundary. So other than that, you can jump down from anywhere. And I actually like that in this game because it added to the chill atmosphere that this game has. You're just free to explore and move around freely without worrying about killing yourself on a cliff most of the time, you know? The shooting mechanics felt pretty good, and the weapons felt different from one another, especially depending on the gun's stats and abilities. Some assault rifles only shoot single shot or full auto, and some have grenade launchers. Some sniper rifles can charge up and shoot, while others have status effects that you can change between with different ammo. It all just depends on the guns and their unique abilities. And the looting is pretty easy and straightforward in this game. Everything that can be opened or interacted with has a green light on it, so it's not hard to miss. And because of that, you just find yourself cruising through the map, opening every green light in sight because it's easy and not time consuming. And then you can unlock skills and augments to upgrade your character's stats and abilities, and these are earned by leveling up your character through missions and contracts. You can choose your special abilities that you want to use based on your character and playstyle, and each character has unique abilities that can be leveled up over time. This gives you a lot of room for character and build variation, as well as reasons to play through multiple times with different characters, so that's pretty sweet. And you also earn storage deck upgrade tokens, or SDU tokens, which can be used to upgrade your character's ammo capacity, backpack storage, and a few other perks for your safe houses. And these can also be earned by completing missions or contracts in the world. And we all know that backpack storage is a must in a looter shooter, so you'll want to get that upgraded as soon as possible. And you know what? The fact that there are billions and billions and billions of weapon combinations in this game is pretty badass. I like that every gun you find, even the common items, might be the only one of those to ever exist. It definitely adds to the allure of a looter shooter when you have personalized loot like that. More games should have loot systems like this when it comes to player items, in my opinion. Alright, let's move on to the bad aspects of the gameplay. Optimization is horrendous in this game. I spent the first few hours just trying to get the game stable on my PC. And I found out that many other people were having the same issues as me, even with higher end PCs, so I had to do some digging to help solve the problems. So first, I couldn't even launch the game because I had to go into my NVIDIA control panel and raise the shader cache limit to 100 gigabytes. At that point, the game finally launched. Then, I had the worst stutter imaginable, so I had to tweak my graphics settings. I tried all the way up, all the way down, somewhere in the middle, and nothing would get rid of the traversal stutter in this game. So I finally settled around medium settings with a few things still on low, such as volumetric fog and clouds, and that was the best I could do. I eventually got used to the texture popping and traversal stutter, but it was just a terrible experience all around, man. And these were actually some of the same issues I ran into when trying to review Stalker 2, and I eventually just gave up on that one because it was so bad. I at least made it through 30 hours of this one, so it was at least manageable. But you know, the typical Unreal Engine 5 slop is all here. You can't interact with dead bodies before they ultimately disappear. The world is lifeless and void of wonder. If it's not green, you can't do anything with it. And it looks and feels like a game from 10 years ago, except now, you need a high-end PC just to run the game from 10 years ago smoothly. What the fuck happened, man? Make it make sense. And this year has made me particularly sick of Unreal Engine 5 slop. They all suffer from the same problems, and nobody in the industry seems to know how to use the engine properly. It's been a disaster of a game engine so far, in my opinion. And this gameplay loop gets repetitive real fast. So I'll tell you how the progression of this game goes. At about the 4 to 6 hour mark, you're like, you know what? This game's not that bad. I want to see where this goes. By about 10 to 15 hours, you're like, man, is this it? I'm starting to get sick of these weapons and getting nothing but garbage out of these loot crates. And then by 20 plus hours in, you're like, please let this fucking end. I hate this game and I just want it to end. Wait, what's that? Takes a look at the map to see how much more there is to go. Oh, hell no. Nope, fuck that. I'm out of here. I can't do one more minute in this madness. It really is like that too. That's the exact progression that your mind goes through when playing this game. There's like this 4-hour window around 6 to 10 hours where you're actually having fun and looking forward to what's next. And then it all comes crashing down so quickly. It just gets so boring so fast. It's hard to explain, but I had the same thing happen to me when playing Avowed as well. It just hits you like a ton of bricks, and then you can just no longer stomach one more minute in this godforsaken game, so you turn it off, never to return. And of course, the enemies are massive bullet sponges, particularly the bosses. especially if you don't have high enough weapons to deal with them. But you know, there's typically a certain level of bullet sponginess to enemies in a looter-shooter type game, but usually there's a good balance to it, or at least in good looter shooters there's a balance to it. Because you know, if you can kill everything in one shot, the game gets boring. And then if you have to shoot something 1,000 times to kill it, then it becomes frustrating. So either side of that spectrum is going to make people quit playing the game, so you have to find a fine line between one shot and sponge, and this game just failed to do that. Most of the quests, particularly the side quests, amount to some sort of fetch quest, and you get sick and tired of going back and forth over and over again. Because the world looks pretty dead, especially if you don't have a high-end PC. I'm not sure how it is on consoles, I'm sure it's a lot better, but man, on PC it was rough. But going back and forth to look at the green open field that looks straight out of a game from 2010 gets really old really fast. And then the best part, the character dialogue in this game is going to make you want to take the bullets out of your gun and deposit them into your head for safekeeping frequently.
As a thank you for saving our asses, we wanted to give you this! It's a Digirunner! It'll help you cover more ground. You're going after Saul's spy master, right? He's holed up in the Order Surveillance Center down the road, but this should get you there in no time. Just scan it with your Echo 4, and you'll have a new Digirunner to choose from. It'll let you Digistruct one practically anywhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive this thing as recklessly as I possibly can. It's too safe, but like, dangerously so. Gracias.
Like I said earlier, it's like the writing teams from Deathloop and Saints Row got together and shat this one out. It's childish, cringe-inducing humor, and not one character does anything in a serious manner in this game. Everything they do is a joke. Just like this game. So to summarize the gameplay, at its core, Borderlands 4 is a good game. The gameplay mechanics are buttery smooth, and the idea of having your very own personalized loot is amazing. Unfortunately, the amazing foundation is quickly destroyed by terrible optimization, repetitive fetch quests, bullet sponge enemies, a horrible story, and some of the worst, cringe-inducing dialogue you've ever heard. The foundation is strong, but the house is made of cards, boys. So moving on to the good aspects of the visuals. I'm normally not the biggest fan of shell-shaded graphics, but I like how it's done in the Borderlands universe, because it's a perfect amount of shell shading and realism. The shell-shaded gore in this game is fucking brutal! And on ultra graphics settings, player models look well crafted, and the level of detail, especially inside buildings, looks pretty awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the bad aspects of the visuals. Because of the terrible optimization and the insane PC requirements to run this game adequately, I could not solve my traversal stutter and texture pop-ins no matter what I did. It was particularly bad inside populated areas or when driving my hoverbike around. And you know what? My PC specs are as follows. I have a RTX 4060 8GB graphics card, an i7 6700K processor, admittedly older and probably the source of most of my problems, 32 gigs of RAM, and a solid-state hard drive. Now, I don't expect to run the game on ultra settings, but I do expect to play the game smoothly if I turn everything to low. I mean, I turned everything to low at one point, and it still was just as bad. So that was not the case here, as the stutter was present with all the settings. I just went with medium graphics settings then, and it still didn't look very good. It looked like I was playing a 10-year-old game, with green fields looking like low-texture garbage of the past. The graphics were just old and out of date for a game in 2025. Shadows and textures were blurry most of the time, and would pop in and out depending on the situation. And this looked exactly like every other Borderlands game of the past 15 years. Nothing new to see here, except like I said earlier, now you just have to have a high-end PC with an RTX 50 series just to play this 10-year-old game smoothly. It's all so fucked. So to summarize the visuals, even though the shell-shaded graphics and art style work well in this universe, the terrible optimization and high-end PC requirements to play this game smoothly ruin any chance of a good experience you might have had with this game. And it's really unfortunate too, because the game has the foundation to be something great. but falls flat on its face due to the lack of optimization. The graphics just don't hold up in 2025 and leave you wondering what the hell these devs have even been up to the past decade. It's the same damn game we've played multiple times already. So moving on to the good aspects of the sound. The music in the game is actually pretty good. I found myself rocking out to the theme song in the beginning and during the battles. It's a nice touch, and the styles of music that they choose for each situation usually fits the setting. And the gunshots and other sound effects are done very well here too. The guns all have unique sounds and are true to form, whether it be a shotgun, a pistol, or a sniper rifle. And I appreciated the level of detail that went into the sounds of the different guns and their abilities. And the sounds of the world are all here too, which helps build the atmosphere of the different places that you go to in the game. Alright, moving on to the bad aspects of the sound. As I said, the dialogue is atrocious in this game. And it's not the voice actors that are the problem. I thought they did a good job with the material that they were working with, but it's the writing of the dialogue itself. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's why I keep referring to it like a mix between the two writing teams of Deathloop and Saints Row. It's just cringe-inducing, and you want every character to just stop talking immediately. The more they talk, the more you hate them. And you know, sometimes the sound would just cut in and out randomly. It didn't happen too often, but enough to be noticed. And it was jarring as hell when it happens. And a few times it happened during a cutscene or while someone was talking to me, so I was like, what the fuck? So to summarize the sound, the music and sound effects in the game were pretty good, but got completely drowned out by the horrible, cringe-inducing dialogue of the characters. I mean, you quickly forget about the good music because you're too busy yelling at the characters to shut the fuck up already. And listening to these characters talk for too long will seriously make you want to stop and never play this game again. It's that bad. Alright, so moving on to my final thoughts. Seeing as how I never played any other Borderlands games besides the first one prior to this, I was looking forward to seeing how far this game series had come in 15 years. Well, I saw that they haven't come very far at all. Matter of fact, it felt like the same game I played all those years ago, even looked the same too. But there were a few aspects of the gameplay that I did enjoy, but that quickly faded, and all I was left with was a relic of the past. In looks, in gameplay, and in character dialogue, this game felt right out of 2016. The gunplay and movement were buttery smooth and fun to play, but that's the only thing holding this house of cards together. It just doesn't cut it anymore for 2025. So, should you buy this game? No! No, do not buy this game. It's definitely not worth a full price purchase. If you really want to play it, wait until it's on sale at the very least, but I would say no more than $10, and that might be pushing it. I would say the best bang for your buck here would be to wait and grab the entire Borderlands collection for like $10. Then it'll be worth it. This game just doesn't do anything new that the old Borderlands games haven't done already. Nothing else in this game would warrant me telling you to pay full price for it. Not worth it, my friends. Well, that's all I got for you guys. I'm glad it's over. Let me know what you guys think down below. I don't know if you guys have played it already, if you were planning on playing it. I'm sure some Borderlands fans, if there are any, will be excited to play this. It's definitely not the worst game of the year, that's for sure, but it's not worth full price, so I would not pay full price for it. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think down below. And until next time, take care of yourself and each other.